week 17 of the fantasy football season, and it's championship week for most leagues this week. So here's a few running backs that can help you on the wire this week. The first guy, Tyler Algier of the Atlanta Falcons. He was a top pickup last week at the running back, and once again, he's going to be the top guy. Right now, he's been the starting running back the last 2 weeks here. Week 15 in New Orleans, 17 carries, 139 yards, a touchdown, a catch, 2-point conversion. In week 16 at Baltimore versus Stiff D, he still put up a good game, 18 carries, 74 yards, 4 catches, 43 yards. So this week here, a good matchup versus the Cardinals that give up the 7th most fantasy points to running backs on the season. And this offense is young, obviously, over there in Atlanta, and it's pretty much Drake London and Algier is the playmaker. So right now, if you need a number 2 running back, I think he's a decent play and pickup this week, available right now in 51% of fantasy leagues. The next guy is Royce Freeman of the Houston Texans. So Royce Freeman looks like he might be the starter over there in Houston after coming off a big workload and a decent one in week 15 as well. Week 15 versus Kansas City, 11 carries, 51 yards, a catch, 5 yards. Week 16 at Tennessee, 16 carries, 32 yards, a catch, and 6 receiving yards. And now week 17, a good matchup versus the Jaguars that give up the 9th most fantasy points to running backs on the season. So I know Burkhead is over there in the backfield, but Freeman right now, he's got 27 carries in the last 2 ball games, and he's available in 100% of fantasy leagues. He's got a decent matchup coming up, and like we know, Damian Pierce is out for the season. So in deeper leagues, if you need a guy to pick up and possibly stash your start, he would be a pickup this week. The next guy, Jalen Warren of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Warren's still the backup, obviously, over there in Pittsburgh, but a guy who's up there amongst the league leaders in yards per touch. So the last few games for Warren, week 14 versus Baltimore, 3 carries, 11 yards, 2 catches, 16 yards. Week 15 at the Panthers, 11 carries, 38 yards, a touch, and a catch for 11 yards. In week 16 versus the Raiders, 6 carries, 23 yards, a catch, 7 yards. So week 17, not a great matchup at the Ravens that give up the 6th least amount of fantasy points to running backs. But right here, Jalen Warren, he's a guy that creates space for this offense. Him and Najee Harris, it's been a pretty decent 1-2 combo over there for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. And like I said, he's a guy, yards per carry, he gets about 5 yards plus per carry is Warren. So he's definitely a playmaker. And he's just a guy that needs the ball a little bit more, but right now available in 87% of fantasy leagues. The next guy is Deion Jackson of the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously playing here tonight is Jackson on Monday Night Football for this Indianapolis Colts team. But he's a player that goes out there and he could get the job done with a decent amount of touches. And we saw it early in the season in the 2 games where he had an expanded role. Week 5 at Denver, 13 carries, 62 yards, 4 catches, 29 yards. Week 6 versus Jacksonville, 12 carries, 42 yards, a touchdown, 10 catches, 79 yards. And then fast forward to last week, week 15. So the 13 carries, 55 yards, a catch for a yard, touchdown, and a fumble loss. So right here, him and Zach Moss are going to be splitting in this backfield. But Jackson's a better playmaker out of the backfield. And he's a guy that could even do work between the tackles as well. So right now, available in tons of fantasy leagues here is Deion Jackson, surprisingly still in 74% of leagues. He's definitely an ad this week. Final running back I have as an ad off the wire this week here is James Cook of the Buffalo Bills. So James Cook, a guy we was talking about a lot in the preseason, if you were watching the video since then, as a breakout rookie, but the breakout came just a little bit too late here. James Cook, he broke out about week 13, where obviously that's towards the end of the regular season of the fantasy league. So right now, the last few weeks for Cook, he's putting in some games. Week 13 at New England, like I said, the breakout, 14 carries, 64 yards, 6 catches, 41 yards. Week 14 versus the Jets, a dud game, 4 carries, 6 yards, a catch, 9 yards. Week 15 versus Miami, 5 carries, 34 yards, 2 catches, 5 yards, a touchdown receiving. And week 16 at the Bears, 11 carries, 99 yards, a touchdown, a catch, 9 yards. So imagine this guy got 15, 20 touches a game is James Cook. He has a possibility of being a top 10 running back in this Bills system. But I think next season is going to be the big fantasy breakout year for him. The last couple weeks here, he's gotten his feet wet and got more opportunity. And right now, even next week, I think he can help fantasy owners in a ball game at Cincinnati. So right now, James Cook's still available in 48% of fantasy leagues. That's a few running backs I looked at on the wire for week 17 of the fantasy football season.